Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to pay my respects to the traditional owners of this land on which we are meeting today. And I'd also like to say thank you to the Centre for Interfaith Dialogue and to Brian Adams for inviting me to be part of this wonderful organisation and summit. I've been asked to share some of my experiences in interfaith dialogue as a practical example of how we can engage. My involvement in interfaith activities at an organisational level began around 10 years ago. I attended a live-in conference organised by JCMA, the Jewish Christian Muslim Association of Australia, outside Melbourne in Victoria at a Christian retreat, Pelotti College. I found the experience exhilarating and so different to anything that I had done before. JCMA was only established a year before, based on the Jewish Christian Muslim Conference that had been held in Bendorf, Germany for 30 years. JCMA is sponsored by the three Victorian roof bodies of the three faiths: the Jewish Community Council of Victoria, the Victorian Council of Churches, and the Islamic Council of Victoria. It was so fascinating to be able to talk to people of the Christian or Muslim faiths who came from a wide variety of backgrounds, traditions and beliefs, and to talk about their faith practices and my own in a very relaxed atmosphere over the space of a 4-day retreat. I came home wanting to know more and to meet more people of other faiths and backgrounds. At the time, I was president of the Victorian section of the National Council of Jewish Women of Australia. And as the Victorian president, I organised a one-day conference with women from our organisation and from the Victorian Immigrant and Refugee Women's Coalition, with the support of the Victorian Multicultural Commission. We discussed and implemented ways that our organisation of women could work with and support these women who were from new and emerging communities. We developed a mentoring program which included public speaking training and ongoing discussions on how they could help their own communities. The women underwent leadership training run by the Victorian Immigrant and Refugee Women's Coalition and were empowered to take on leadership roles within their own communities. At my second JCMA conference, there was a keen interest in establishing a women's conference, which I was asked to convene. I gathered together a committee of interested Jewish, Christian and Muslim women from various cultural backgrounds and denominations, and we held our first women's 3-day live-in conference at the Edmund Rice Centre, a Christian retreat in an outer suburb of Melbourne, in 2007. We discussed the inspirational mothers of our faiths, especially Sarah, Hagar and Mary. JCMA women have now held 8 live-in conferences, each over 3 days, where Jewish, Christian and Muslim women have the opportunity to get to know each other in a relaxed and peaceful environment. We have the opportunity to ask questions about each other's practices and beliefs. It is so important for us all to be able to get to know the other, so that we can come to understand each other and know where the other is coming from in regard to their background and what they have been taught. We fear what we do not know or understand. We fear the outsider, who is different from us, who dresses differently, who has different practices and customs, and who may not eat the food that we eat. JCMA women also hold day seminars, as we have found it is difficult for many to get away from their work and families for 3 days, especially the Muslim women. We have found that we have greater Muslim participation for a day seminar. We are always looking for ways to engage women of the three faiths. One year we held a very successful iftar dinner during Ramadan for men and women. This year we visited the new Islamic Museum of Victoria that Helen mentioned, and we are planning a visit to a synagogue in December to learn about the Jewish festival of Hanukkah. I am also a presenter in the JCMA Schools program, where we visit mostly non-government schools as a group of 3, a Jew, a Christian and a Muslim, to talk about what our faith means to us and to give the school children the opportunity to ask us whatever questions they want. There are both secondary and primary school programs, with the primary school program concentrating more on values. Many of the children have not had the opportunity to talk to a Muslim or Jewish person before. These interactions are so important in developing children's understanding of those who are different, the stranger in our midst. The main interfaith event that NCJWA, the National Council of Jewish Women, organises in Melbourne, grew out of the JCMA Women's Conferences. I wanted to share the celebration of the Jewish festival of Passover, or Pesach, with the Christian and Muslim women I had met. I organised a model Seder the week before our Passover, facilitated by a learned Jewish woman, for over 80 women of all faiths, including Jewish women. We sat around tables set with all the symbolic foods of Passover, as Jewish families do at their Seder on the first night of our week-long festival. We read and talked about the story of the exodus of the Jewish people from Egypt, in the same way that every Jewish household does at their Seder. The symbolic foods were explained and tasted. There was ample opportunity for the non-Jewish women to ask questions of the Jewish women sitting with them, and for the Jewish women to talk about their different family traditions and foods. We are currently planning our 8th Model Seder to be held in March next year. This is an ideal example of how, by sharing the experience, non-Jewish people can understand what this most joyous of festivals means to Jewish people, as just one example of our faith practices. As a festival of freedom from oppression, it relates to people of all faiths and backgrounds. Other interfaith activities we are involved in at the National Council of Jewish Women include inviting others to share in the celebration of Hanukkah, the Jewish Festival of Lights. We've also celebrated the Muslim festival Ashura with Turkish Muslim women and participated in interfaith and intercultural dinners, such as the annual Jewish Catholic dinner that is held in Melbourne, which I helped establish, the annual Jewish Anglican dinner, a Jewish Indian dinner, a Jewish Croatian dinner, a collection of migration stories from Jewish and non-Jewish women, and an intercultural book club and many other activities in our different sections around Australia. The National Council of Jewish Women is a very active affiliate of the International Council of Jewish Women, with the newly elected international president, Robin Len, being Australian. I hold the international portfolio of Chair of Interfaith and Intercultural. Jewish women play an active role in interfaith and intercultural events worldwide, most notably in Europe and South Africa, as well as here in Australia. Jewish communities in Asia are small, so it was indeed wonderful to participate in the Asian Religions for Peace Assembly held in August this year in South Korea, and Des talked to you about that earlier. I have been involved on the Committee of Religions for Peace Australia for a few years now, working with Des. I was also involved in a voluntary capacity in the Parliament of the World's Religions that was held in Melbourne in 2009. This was an outstanding opportunity for us all to meet people from around the world of many different faiths and cultures. In May this year, I was privileged to be selected for an interfaith journey to Jerusalem for 4 Muslims, 4 Christians and 4 Jews from Melbourne. We were a very varied group, 3 women and 9 men, lay and clergy of all denominations and ethnic backgrounds. Some knew each other beforehand, but mostly we were strangers who shared an amazing experience that cemented our new friendships. Over the 9 years we visited each other, Over the 9 days, we visited each other's holy sites, read and discussed texts from the 3 faiths. We met many different people with fascinating experiences of living in Jerusalem and explored the old city as well as Bethlehem. This was my 7th trip to Jerusalem, but the first time I had experienced the city through Christian and Muslim eyes. Despite its many problems, Jerusalem is an exciting city with a vibrant mix of people of many different faiths and backgrounds. Everywhere we looked, we saw Jews, Christians and Muslims living, working and praying in close proximity to each other. When we went up onto the rooftops, we could not tell which quarter we were standing on. They all looked the same. This is an image I have taken home with me. Since returning, our common project has been to speak to many interfaith groups about our trip, and I firmly believe this has given hope to many that Jews, Christians and Muslims can certainly learn from each other and work together. We are determined that politics will not get in the way, and we will continue to meet to further our own discussions and understanding of each other's faiths, as well as to spread the word. Although now we are back in the real world, it's rather difficult to find times when we're all available. A vital point that I have learned is that we must be prepared to listen to the narratives of people with other backgrounds. We may not agree with them, but we must be prepared to listen. It is only by listening to the others' narratives that we can begin to think about what our memories are, what we have absorbed over many years, and what the facts are. Our group has developed mutual trust, respect, and understanding. We have developed and are still developing our own shared reality. So here we see Diapraxis in action, and also in the JCMA activities and the National Council of Jewish Women interactions with women of other faiths. We have so much in common with people of other faiths, so many common values. Our understanding of our commonalities is deepened and broadened by our interfaith encounters. We are all human. We care for those who are oppressed, whatever their faith or background. We care when others' human rights are violated. We must stand together to fight for their rights, for the right to an education, the right to earn a living, the right to shelter, clean water and food. I'm especially concerned about discrimination against women and children. We must remember, as Hillary Clinton said in 1995 in Beijing at the UN Women's Conference, women's rights are human rights, and human rights are women's rights. By fighting discrimination and oppression of women, it has been found many times that communities in the developing world benefit significantly. I firmly believe that women have a special ability to work together in a non-competitive way for the good of all. I believe women can lead the way. Karen Armstrong has called on people of religion to build a charter of compassion, to restore the Golden Rule, which is central to all the world's great religions, as the central religious doctrine. Hillel, one of Judaism's greatest sages, considered the Golden Rule to be the most important message in the Torah, the Jewish Bible. When asked by a student to sum up the whole Torah, Hillel answered, "That which is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow. That is the whole Torah. The rest is commentary. Go and learn it." Thank you.